City, the north of Harlem, East Harlem, tenements, brownstones, bodegas, and barrios, the north of a first floor back apartment, the north of a bedroom with a window facing a brick wall and a courtyard of garbage and smells and sounds of poor people's voices splintering the night. In the north of subtle racism and open disrespect of a teacher walking into our classroom and stating to the boys, I don't know why I'm going to try to teach you anything because you'll just end up in jail. And some of the young men fulfilled her predictions and ended up in prison. And she turned and looked at the young girls and said, I don't know why I'm going to teach you. You're just going to end up having babies. And some of them did. This teacher lived out what Carlos Fuentes said, we only hurt others when we're incapable of imagining them. Cruelty is caused by a failure of the imagination, the inability to assign the same feelings and values to another person that you harbor in yourself. So I help people to imagine me, black women, men, children, and all of our beautiful and terrible selves, just like them. My struggle and the struggle of others for identity and liberation has influenced my imagination and the creativity of many writers. For in this supposed free North, I discovered schools that taught science in black and Latino neighborhoods with no labs. I discovered tenements and no regular garbage pickup. I discovered corner store owners who kept books on what you owed, purchased, and dared your father or mother to speak up or disagree, or you'd be cut off the loan line to come to the store and buy for credit line. I discovered bars and liquor stores on our corners and storefront church sounds breaking the sullen Harlem air with the sounds of swinging jubilations and hope and despair. And I discovered a little girl in love with books and writing. And no one cared, and no one thought years later, even at Hunter College, that writing was a possibility for someone black and female. As my counselor stated at Hunter College, you want to be a writer, and she laughed this long laugh. No, there are no Negro writers. You must be realistic. We let you come here to Hunter, you privileged ones, so you can be a social worker, a teacher, or a nurse, a writer. That's not realistic. And she leaned back and laughed again, and I accepted her analysis of life and others' analysis of life, including my father's advice. Get an education, girl. It'll help you, free you. Then get married and move to Long Island or Mount Vernon. Leave Harlem, the Harlem of black, yellow, tan faces asking for equality, life, love, freedom. I was blessed, however, to have studied with Louise Bogan at NYU, who began to listen to my words with some respect. And it was in her class that I published my first poem, a poem to my grandmother. And then this goes on a little long, and I don't know how much time we have. How much time do I have?
Great.
Okay, right, okay.
However you feel.
Okay, I just didn't want to know. Okay. And then I heard the Southern thunder. So the bravery of black students in the South saw them sitting in, waiting and questioning others' authority over their lives. Then I heard new words, boycott, freedom now, we shall overcome, freedom riders, Fannie Lou Hamer, Little Rock, SNCC, Martin Luther King, Montgomery, we shall overcome, SCLC, Birmingham, 4 little girls massacred in the church word, and Funday, Ella Baker words, and then I joined New York Corps, picketed, closed Woolworth stores, opened up apartment buildings for blacks and Puerto Ricans and women, helped to open up the unions in New York City. We in New York City my dad used to tell this story much better than I. He lived at 135th Street, and Harlem Hospital is at 135th Street there on Lenox Avenue, right near the Schomburg. My dad said he heard all this noise, people saying, we shall overcome, the singing, and he got his binoculars and he came down and he looked down and there was his daughter. In fact, and someone interviewed my dad, people from overseas, and he said, was your daughter always involved with things like that? He said, no, she was a quiet little girl. She never bothered anyone. It's true. I never argued. I never bothered. I was a perfect daughter. Really. Went to school, loved school. Went to the library, loved the library. Read, never argued with my father. Never gave him a moment. And when I left home and moved to the village, is when it happened. He told this guy from Paris. But he says, I got the binoculars and saw my daughter there singing, we shall not be moved, whatever. Because we said that they were not going to build an extension to Harlem Hospital unless they opened the unions up to blacks and Puerto Ricans, period, whatever. They said, no way. So we blocked the streets. But then my father took his binoculars and went up the street, and there were police coming on horseback towards us, and we didn't see him. And he said he dropped his binoculars, and he told us to this guy, and he got his keys, and went running to the elevator. But the elevator was on the 17th floor. The elevator, so he went running down the steps, and as luck would have it, but you and I know there's no such thing as luck. There's only work, constant work, right? And the first black police captain was being driven to work, and his driver drove up near us in the street, and he jumped out and looked at us, at people in New York, because what do you people want? And we said, we want to open up the unions in New York City, the richest city in the world. He said, well, don't settle in the streets, go downtown. So he went inside and got the union officials, and we went downtown. And we stayed downtown, and I didn't get home to my apartment in Riverside Drive until 3 a.m. in the morning. But the union people finally said, okay, give us some names. We were so young that all the names were in the office. We didn't have any names with us, so I jumped up and gave my brother's name because he was always fixing stuff, the electrical stuff in the house. I get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the telephone is ringing. I know it's my father. I know he's calling to complain. So I light a cigarette. I put on some coffee. My kids, when they heard, said, you smoke, Mom? I said, did I ever? I put some coffee on. I went to the bathroom. I drank the coffee. Because in those days, the telephone would ring forever and ever and ever until you picked up or until the other person hung up. So I finally picked up the phone and said, yeah, Dad. He said, Sonia, why don't you just stop this? Why don't you just get married and have some babies and move to Long Island? Right. I won't tell you what I said because I was very rude to my dad. I told him, you don't know anything, whatever. And then I said, Dad, tell Wilson. And I said, I got an address for you. Tell him to show up at the Union tomorrow at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. now, not 9:05, 9 a.m. because we have gotten them to open up the Union. My dad said a very strange thing. You mean there's a job? I said, what do you think? We're out there almost getting massacred on many levels. And my brother became an electrician, made more money than all of us, in the family. But that's what I wrote about. I like to tell it because I just kind of conjure up my dad again, right? And then I heard King. If our economic system is to survive, there has to be a better distribution of wealth. We can't have a system where some people live in superfluous, inordinate wealth, today, while others live in abject, deadening poverty. From now on, he said, I choose to identify with the underprivileged. I choose to identify with the poor. I choose to live for and with those who find themselves seeing life as a long and desolate corridor with no exit sign. This is the way I'm going. If it means suffering a bit, I'm going that way. If it means sacrificing, I'm going that way. I'm going that way because I heard a voice saying, do something. He said, there are 40 million poor people here. We must ask the question, why are there 40 million poor people in America? When you begin to ask that question, you are raising questions about the economic system, about the broader distribution of wealth. When you ask that question, you begin to question the capitalistic economy. I am simply saying that more and more we got to begin to ask questions about the whole society. We are called upon to help the discouraged beggars in life's marketplace. But one day, we must come to see that an edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring. It means that questions must be raised, you see, my friends, for others. And so I wrote this